coming up on today's show.
So many people want to jump into starting and organizing business just because they love the hands-on part of the business, but they don't realize what's involved in order to set up.
Let's say they decide they want to do an organizing business. What do they need to do to get started?
And if you're not skilled to do that, okay, you've just wasted all that time on the phone. So
behind the scenes of an organizing business, today on Keeping You Organized. Well, hello and welcome to Keeping You Organized. We have one of my favorite formats of shows today. We're going to go behind the scenes. We actually won't do it with video, but we are going to talk about an organizing business. Do you realize that if you start an organizing business, you have to be organized? I know that may sound, kind of simple, but, it's the story of the cobbler who doesn't make shoes for his kids. So we're going to find out if that's true in the organizing business, if you actually have to be organized to be in the organizing business. And I'm going to bring on one of my favorites, not the
one of your
yes,
favorites.
Geraldine Thomas, Metropolitan Organizing. Geraldine, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, John.
Now, the only reason I say that is because some other unnamed organizer said that you told her that we had our favorites. And, we don't play favorites here. Come on, we just got to get that out in the open right now.
Well, let's at some point do like a top 50 list.
Yes.
Maybe I'll make that list.
No, you are definitely up there near the top, but I'm not going to say top position because then someone else is going to feel bad. And this show is all about good feelings, right?
Good. Okay. That's fine with me.
But what I do know about you is not only are you an incredible organizer, but you also teach other organizers how to set up an organizing business. So I want to kind of take that concept and find out, if I wanted to start an organizing business, or for one of our viewers or listeners wanted to do that, kind of what are the steps? And I bet there's a lot of organization that goes into starting an organizing business, right?
That's right. You don't have to get organized to start an organizing business, but it'll be a lot smoother and a lot more profitable and a lot more sustainable if you lay the groundwork or do the foundational work and then start your business. So many people want to jump into starting an organizing business just because they love the hands-on part of the business, but they don't realize what's involved in order to set up. And this is true for any small business owner, whether, you're baking pies and going to sell them or making jewelry or anything. You have to lay the groundwork.
Yeah. And I bet there's a lot of people that you meet who they have this, they probably because they watch these TV shows out there where they probably saw you on TV, right? You were on HGTV doing the makeovers and all that kind of stuff where you help people get organized. And I know there is probably is there a personality profile of an organizer?
I do think the one thing that a lot of organizers have in common is I think we tend to be nurturing people. We want to help people. We often do it at our own cost or pro bono. So there's a lot of organizers in the industry that I worked with on A&E TV Hoarders. They came out of the goodness of their own heart, rolled up their sleeves, and did all the grungy hard work behind the scenes while I was on camera taking all the credit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, the Fixer Upper show, Chip and Joanna, show on the scene. Yeah. Joanna swings one hammer, breaks the wall down. And then what they don't show you is the crew of 50 that come in and actually do the work, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the very interesting thing I learned about while I was doing the TV show Hoarders is it really does take a village to put together. And, when you see like 40 minutes in an hour-long show, it's normally like 5 days of filming. So it's much more that goes into it. Same thing with starting a business, right? You hang your shingle and people think, oh, good, you're starting a business. Not true. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. And it also takes a village in most circumstances to start and run a business.
All right. Well, let's start on starting a business. What is the kind of the first area that someone has to address in order to decide if they're going to get into it, or let's say they decide they want to do an organizing business. What do they need to do to get started?
Well, there's different ways to start your business. So the first thing that I would advise somebody to do is think about the legal setup of your business. So do you want to be a solopreneur? And from a solopreneur, you can become an LLC, right? Or you can form a partnership, or you can become incorporated. And then there's C Corps and S Corps. So figure out what your business entity or business structure is going to be. That would be the first thing. Naming your business is a big part of it, because you have to have a name before you can go to the bank or apply for a credit card, or even register for your DBA in the city and town where you're doing business. So those are some of the very first things to think about. You want to make sure that you're using a name that is already not in use. And here's the rookie mistake. A lot of people will say, my initials are, SOS, Susan O'Sullivan, and I'm going to make my organizing business SOS Organizing because those are my initials. Well, there are about, how many SOS organizing companies out there. There's a .org, a .net, a .biz, a .everything. And if anyone has trademarked that name, you will have to start over. You are not allowed to use a name that is already being trademarked. And I always tell people that I'm coaching, organizers that I'm working with, don't even use a name that's out there already, because if that business owner decides, I'm going to trademark this name, she can prove that she's been using it a lot longer than you, and you're going to have to start over anyway. So be original with your name.
Right. So let's talk about, picking a name. Are there any ideas for names that, say someone, I don't really know. I don't want to call it John Hunt's Organizing Business, but what else could I call it? And are there ideas on that maybe would appeal to a consumer or something?
Yeah. So I actually wrote a blog post about this, and I said what I did wrong naming my own business. Actually, I've done two things wrong. I've done a lot of things wrong, John, but for this purposes of this show, let's just stay focused on the two things I've done wrong naming my business. The first one is I did exactly what I just told you about. I grabbed a name that was already in use. She was living on the other side of the United States, far, far away from North Carolina. And I thought, well, heck, she's not going to care about that because I'm in North Carolina and she's somewhere else. So I picked this name. I hired a website designer. He came back and said, that name's already taken, but you can add an NC after it for North Carolina. I said, great, let's do it. We went ahead, set up the business. I ordered business cards, got stationery, built a website. And the day my business cards came, I put one on my husband's dinner plate that night. And he kind of looked at it and then looked at me, and it wasn't a happy look. And I said, what's wrong with that? And he said, you told me that name was already in use. I said, yes. And he said, you can't do that because she's trademarked the name. And I said, yeah, but you don't, I'm telling a lawyer, right? You don't understand. She's in whatever state she was in, and I'm in North Carolina. And he said, you don't understand that name means you can't use it anywhere in North America if it's associated with the organizing industry. So that was mistake number one, not checking was that name in use. Then was mistake number two not telling your husband before you actually paid for that? Well, you know what? And I'll tell you all my crazy embarrassing moments. Yeah, that was a mistake, but I wanted to be independent and learn, to run my own business. And I thought I was doing the right thing. And it was a disaster, but I learned a lot. And I had to chunk all those business cards, all my stationery, and start over with a website. So not so great. The second thing I would tell people is with my own name, Metropolitan Organizing, it's so long, right? People when they're writing out checks, and I work with dyslexic people. I work with people with huge organizing challenges. For them to spell the word metropolitan is kind of not always the easiest thing for them. It's kind of like I'm on, can I buy a vowel? Where does the O go? So that's it. And then anytime I'm saying my name over the phone or logging into something, like I remember I set up my Netflix account using Metropolitan Organizing, that little clicker, Thomas at metropolitanorganizing.com. I mean, it is a nightmare. So pick something short and sweet. Don't do cuckoo spellings, don't put numbers in your name, and just be mindful.
Oh yeah. Those are great tips. And I think, again, you made some mistakes, and that's why others want to learn from you as well. So let's say you have the name picked out, you got a website even, or maybe a simple one going. What else do you need to do to kind of take the next step?
The next step would be get thyself to the bank or apply online and get yourself an EIN number, employee identification number. That way your social security number isn't floating all over the universe. And that number you'll just fill in on all your forms. And separate your personal finances from your business finances. I'm working, unfortunately, with 4 people right now that are all being audited because they didn't do this the right way. It's sort of like you're flagging yourself for a disaster when you're commingling your personal expenses and your business expenses. So keep those things totally separate. When you go for conference, when you buy that airline ticket, when you check into the hotel, when you're paying Uber or Lyft or whomever, make sure that's on a business credit card. Your meals, people think, oh, I can go out and expense all my meals. There are rules to that, right? It's not allowed. You really need financial advice. It's not my A game. So I pay a CPA every month to do my bookkeeping. And then at the end of the year, I have my CPA prepare a bundle, and then it goes in with my husband. We file joint, of course, okay. And then that goes to a different CPA. So it's expensive, it's time consuming, but so far, fingers crossed, it's kind of helped me dodge a lot of bullets that I probably would have not been able to dodge without her help.
Well, I think also too, it's part of building a team and getting some people doing things that maybe you don't. I mean, I can't stand doing taxes and things like that. I've had a accountant as long as I can remember, just because I don't like doing that stuff. So it's one of those things where you could spend a lot more time trying to do it yourself. You pay somebody, and maybe while you're paying them to do that, you can be going out and doing organizing work or something.
Right. I always tell, people, it's kind of like one of those robot vacuum cleaners, which let me tell you, I should be like the campaign person for those things. You can load your dishwasher, you can throw your wash in, you can press your little robot thing, and then you go do something that you actually want to do around the house, which you usually have a cup of coffee and play with the dog. Yeah. But those things can kind of get a system going and do the work for you while you're focused on something else. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, I want to talk about how you get your first customer. Because I think, sometimes a business is not a business until you have someone paying you to do something. Right. So we are doing behind the scenes of an organizing business with Geraldine Thomas, Metropolitan Organizing, and we will be right back.
It's the summer sale at myorganize.life. 25% off office products like file folders, hanging files, accordion files, and presentation products. Click now for the coupon code. It's 25% off during our summer sale at myorganize.life. That's myorganize.life. 25% off. It's the summer sale at myorganize.life.
We're back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about the behind the scenes of setting up an organizing business. So you want to be a professional organizer, do you? Well, we have Geraldine Thomas with us, taking us through some of the steps of what it takes to get a business going. Geraldine, how long ago did you start your business anyway?
2002.
Okay, so you've been in it a while, and you've had, like we learned in the first half of this program, you hit some bumps in the road. But I want to go back, if you can remember, to those first days and trying to get that first customer, because people have the idea, but how do you actually get people to pay you to do organizing work?
Yes, so that would involve, I kind of think of my business and any small business owner, any entrepreneur, you can steal what's working for bigger companies, right? So I think of my business as having departments, John. So I have my admin department. That's where I'm spending time on the phone. I'm researching insurance rates. I'm connecting with vendors. I'm just doing all the admin type of work, returning emails. Then I have finance and legal. For me, I lump those two things together because they're both things that I don't love dealing with. And I actually hire people to advise me on both of those topics because it's just not, especially taxes. The laws change all the time and I'm not going to stay on top of that stuff. So it's better for me to have a professional handle that. My other department is marketing and branding, and that is the department that I love working in. And then my last department would probably be sales. Okay. And again, I like doing sales, I like the marketing, and I like the branding. So those are the areas that I really enjoy working on. Okay. Now, there's the stuff that I'm doing at my desk, which are those departments. And then there's the customer facing stuff, right? So when I'm coaching one-on-one on the phone, when I'm in somebody's closet, helping them declutter and rebuild a wardrobe and all that kind of stuff. So there's the client facing side of my business, and there's the behind the scenes part of my business.
Okay, so we've got these departments set up. Let's go back to sales, because I want to get to maybe tell how you got your first customer, because I think that's going to be maybe a good example. Maybe it's not, but or if you're working with a brand new organizer, how do you coach them into finding some customers?
Okay, so again, even before your website is set up, because that's sort of a stumbling block for many new organizers. They're like, wow, I don't have X number of dollars, or I don't have the skill set to build my own free website. So my advice is use your Facebook page, use your LinkedIn page, use social media to get you up and running. That's a great way to kind of let people know how they can get a hold of you. The other thing is, let's say that your skill set is you're a good speaker. You're funny, you're approachable, you're all this. So go ahead and book some talks around town. Start like with the Rotary Club or the Moms Club or whoever your target audience is. Go do some 30-minute, 45, 60-minute, and then gradually work into 90-minute presentations. And everybody wants to get paid in the beginning. But the truth is, John, most beginning speakers are not very good speakers. So go do it for free and take evaluations and ask people for honest feedback. And then, as much as it kills you, read that feedback and improve your speaking. That's a great way to go about it. Or offer to do a pro bono job and make it somebody, kind of that you can highlight. Make sure that they agree in exchange for the pro bono free organizing, that you can use their first and last name and the place of their business as a testimonial. So that's a couple ideas just to get you started. So even when you don't have a website, they might write a sentence or two about, oh, Geraldine came in and organized our church supply room, or the Red Cross snack room, or the whatever, you name it. And she did a great job. She was pleasant to work with. She was on time. She was professional. She, gave us advice for the future, whatever they're going to say about you. Have them put that on your LinkedIn or your Facebook page or whatever. I prefer LinkedIn, because if Facebook goes bye-bye next week, there goes all your good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, these are great ideas. Now, let's get back to maybe more office organizing. So you got to spend time calling people to book speeches, and you've got to, deal with your accountant. You've got to deal with your lawyer, and, maybe not every day or every week.
Right.
This sounds like time management was something that organizers love talking about, but how do organizers implement time management into their own businesses? Or maybe you even share how you implement time management into your own business. Do you spend X number of hours a week administratively and certain number of hours doing the business? I mean, because I can see how that might get kind of challenging on how to use your time.
Right. So I understand what you're saying, and I hear you 100%, and I respect what you're saying, but I'm going to, in my mind, again, just the way I think about this, time management is one thing and productivity is another. So time management is managing the time at my desk and being able to say, oh, today is Monday. And if this is how your business is structured, Monday is my day where I spend from 9 to 12 returning calls and scheduling appointments and cold calling to get speaking engagements. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's time management. Productivity to me is more the system, the flow of how I'm going to do things. So I'll give you an example. When a potential client calls on the phone, you're all excited, right? Especially those first 100 people that call you are like, whoa, I've got business. You want to have a system in place. This is where productivity, in my opinion, is going to change your game. And this is what I refer to as master faster. I've been doing this a long time. I can now do a phone intake or an in-person assessment probably 10 times faster than a brand new organizer would. I've been doing them for years and years. I've learned from my mistakes. I've kind of streamlined it. That's productivity. What I would advise a new business owner, a productivity consultant, or a professional organizer is use business forms. You know, the best hotel chains do it. When you call and book a room, they ask you the same information. It doesn't have to be in the same order, and it doesn't have to be the same personality, but they're going to get your name, your email, your credit card, your address, check in, check out, room preferences. Are you a honored whatever member? You have to have that same system in place for every phone call you return or somebody calling in, because let's say that John Hunt calls me, I work with him, he brags to everyone in his 50-mile radius, oh, she's the best organizer, you've got to use her. Your neighbors call me and I'm in my car returning that call. I don't have a system in place, right? I'm not using my forms. Mm-hmm. You've done all my marketing for me. You've paved the way. Chances are you've probably shared my rates, so I don't even have to go into that sales gig with the new potential customer. But if that new person doesn't either get the same treatment that you got and you were bragging about, she asked me so many questions beforehand. She knew exactly where to start when she began. She does come in and do a 45-minute assessment of the whole house, and then we rolled up our sleeves. I mean, you've done all this, but if I don't deliver that over and over and over again, like the hotels do, mm-hmm. right, when you call, you're not going to have a great business. People will learn, I didn't get that treatment. I called her and she was in her car. She was trying to take notes and drive. I could hear cars honking. Her kids were in the back, whatever. So you've got to, use business forms, become better, but be consistent.
Yes. What would be some of those business forms? Maybe one or two of the forms that, so a client intake form, like the initial client meeting. What are some other forms that you use?
So I break my intake into two sections. The first is done over the phone when that first initial contact, I'm either returning their call or I pick up the phone when they're here. And it's, the basics. Number one question, because I'm looking ahead for marketing, how did you hear about me? Mm-hmm. Did you find me by a Google search? Do you remember what search terms you used? Did you put professional organizer Raleigh or home organizing or a closet clean out or decluttering? What if that person can tell you the words they used? It's jackpot for the future, right?
Yeah.
The next is obvious, what's your zip code or something to that equivalent, because I live in Raleigh. Most of my clients live within an hour radius. That's complimentary. I'm not going to upcharge for a travel fee. But if somebody's calling me in Charlotte, which is 2 to 3 hours away, depending on where in Charlotte, and there's a lot of traffic, I'm going to have to assess, do I want to go there? Do I want to send an independent contractor? Is there a travel fee involved in that?
Right.
So you want to figure out immediately, are they in your area? And then do you do the kind of work they need done, right? So if somebody calls and they're telling you, it's not unusual for a disorganized client to call, potential client, and tell you 15 minutes worth of their problems, challenges, only to find out what they're really calling you for might be what sounds like it could be a mental health condition or a traumatic brain injury organizing situation. And if you're not skilled to do that, okay, you've just wasted all that time on the phone. So the intake form is important, and then the assessment form once you get to their house, because again, you want to plant the seeds that not only can we do, let's say you're there for the laundry room today or the garage, not only can I do your garage, but you know what, in a few months, when your budget permits and when the timing is right, and maybe you're having a new baby or relocating, or your spouse is in the military and coming home, or your mother-in-law is moving in, whatever it is, you want to plant that seed that you can help them get organized or declutter or rearrange whatever it is they need rearranged in their life, time management or productivity. People at home should run their home like they run a business. So there's a system in place.
Right. Well, Geraldine, because we want to be productive and we know our time is limited here, I'm going to have to ask if you can come back next time, because there's some things that we haven't even talked about yet, like how you stay motivated and some of those psychological things that are involved in the organizing business. So you up for that?
Absolutely. I'm always up for hanging out with you guys.
That's great. Well, before we go, let people know how they can get a hold of you and your contact information, and so that you can get some people to get on that first intake form.
Yeah, I would love that. Okay, so my website is metropolitanorganizing.com. You have to be a decent speller to land there.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram as Geraldine.Thomas, Geraldine period Thomas. Again, weird spelling, right? Geraldine's not your everyday name.
Nope.
And then I'm on all kinds of social media. If you put the name Geraldine in your browser and spell it the right way, chances are you're going to land on something that belongs to me.
Sweet. Well, this has been great. I always love talking to you because we get great ideas from you. We didn't see Pip in the background today, but maybe for our next show, who knows? Or is he there?
Yeah.
He's being mellow today, isn't he?
He's snoozing. Yeah.
Aw.
He was up late last night.
Yeah, that's your mascot. I think it was great. Anyway, well, we'll bring you back. We'll bring Pip back, and we'll be here next time for part 2 of how to get organized in setting up and organizing business. And we'll be back next time on Keeping You Organized.